All right. Okay. I'm ready, officially. Okay. All right. Welcome back to Know Thy Shelves. I'm Michelle.
I'm Rachel.
It's good to be back. So before we get into this lovely Greek mythology book, so I've only read something this week since Rachel has been trying to study up on her mythology.
Yeah.
Basically, right?
Yeah, basically.
So I am rereading Broken Bond series. Well, it's not the Broken Bond series.
Bonds that tie.
Yeah, the Bonds that Tie series. I never finished it because I started it before they all came out, and then I'm really bad about, like, it's not out yet, fuck it, I'm done. So I'm rereading that because I know you picked it up, and
Yes.
I know you and your sister is reading it.
So, Allison's read the whole series before,
Okay.
and then I've just started, and I'm still on book 2.
Okay, I'm halfway through book 2, so, which I might finish that before I start the next one on our pod series, but yeah, I'm trying to, because I think I read up to, like, book 4 or 5. I know there's only 6, so I'm like, I didn't finish it, but it's a really good, it's kind of like a Why Choose, well, it's not really, they have powers, where she's the center bond, and, once you
Get it on.
yeah, get it on. You becoming more powerful, and so there's 5 guys in her, and she's like, I don't want to because they're already so powerful, and power and people make people real nervous.
Yes.
So it's a really good one. I obviously like it since I'm rereading it.
So, who's your favorite of the Bonds?
See, I like Atlas.
And I do not.
I was just talking to Skylar about this because I'm like, Rachel, because we usually like the same bookmen.
Yes.
Book boyfriends. And I was like, this time she doesn't like him. I was like so upset. I like who you like, Griffin. I don't know. I have to reread it to make sure, but I think I still like Atlas better.
So, Atlas just seems like he's up to something, and he's being too nice.
I don't know. That's what I like, because it's more like enemies to lovers, especially since she, went into protection to save them.
Mm-hmm.
Or she ran away to save them, I should say. But I'm just like, he's just like, I don't give a fuck. I love you. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
See,
I'll provide for you.
It was too fast, too quick.
Yeah. But, I mean, I just see it as he's, happy that she's actually alive, because they thought she was dead.
Yeah, but, even with Gabe at the beginning, he's the golden retriever.
He is very much the golden retriever. So, he's probably my second.
Yeah. He still was like, okay, well, I need some answers.
Yeah.
Even with being the golden retriever,
Yes.
he was like, I need answers.
Yes.
And Atlas is like, all in, right from the beginning.
Yes. I love that. It's like he's like, I don't give a shit. I wasn't in your life. I don't know. I didn't know you back then, so I don't know. I guess I just feel like he sees the good in her and them, just them two, because he doesn't care about the other ones.
Yes.
But I don't know. I just makes my heart go, aww.
Yeah, he's just too nice right at the beginning, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
something's up.
Yeah. I gotta reread it to remember if he's good or not, but I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm gonna be like, Rachel's fucking right, fuck her. I didn't see the red flags, okay? I'm gonna be so mad if I go through.
The Draven boys are full of red flags.
100%, but I like the Brutus.
Yes.
Him. He's so cute. What's Allison's favorite? Who's her favorite?
So, Allison's favorite Snox.
Okay.
Which right now,
No.
and then it's Atlas, I think.
Okay. I think
I'm Griffin, then Gabe.
I'm Atlas, Gabe, and then Griffin, and then North, and then Nox. Fuck Nox, I hate him.
Yeah.
But I think he does get better as the books go on, so I at least have that to look forward to. So you ready to get into the book?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
So we read Song of Achilles.
I really like the cover. The
Yeah,
physical
it's shiny.
cover. Well, it's like texture too to make it look more like a helmet. I missed that one. I didn't know that. Just because of the Kindle version I read, so it's nice to see. I guess I just didn't realize. So.
And then this week I also read On the Iliad. Because that has to do with the Iliad.
Gotcha, okay. I have very minimal background knowledge of Greek mythology. So I didn't intentionally look up stuff because that's more your purview, but I thought it'd be a nice kind of like balance between like a normal reader not really having a lot of background on Greek mythology and that you do. So I thought it'd be nice to, I'm not gonna research nothing. So that's where I left it at with the doing other side research, because I'm like, well, there's some people that go into this book not knowing a fucking thing about Greek mythology. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to be like,
have your perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was like, okay, I'm not looking up nothing. I did look up one thing, but we'll talk about that later.
So basically with this, I didn't read any further into the Iliad. Because I was like, this is going to have to do with the Iliad because of what happens to Achilles.
Okay.
I didn't remember what happened to Patroclus. We'll get into that.
Okay. Okay.
But I wanted to know, like, some of the key players in the Iliad.
Okay.
And then, like, what
were
caused
they
it.
Okay. Did it help? Did it help, I guess, would be the question.
A little bit. Because you got to know why the Iliad started. The war started.
Okay.
The Trojan War. And you got a little bit more about Paris.
Okay.
And Helen.
Yeah, there was not a lot of from that side of the story.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you also got some of the actual players.
Like that. Okay. Yeah. Because I felt like the author wanted you to like have more of a knowledge base on some of the other ones. So I think that's why she didn't go into a lot of description. I don't know, obviously, because I'm not the author. But that's kind of how I felt. Like the only one that, like there was only like really two gods that was introduced.
Apollo and Zeus.
Yeah, and they were just, Zeus was only half just mentioned, just thrown in there.
Yeah.
And Apollo you actually not see, but in the book he's a minor character for like two pages, and then he's like
yes.
So I didn't realize until I finished the book on Kindle, which kind of pissed me off, that there's 10 pages in the back of the characters and their explanation. I'm like,
yeah, I think this one has like photos too. Yeah.
Nope. No.
Mine had photos.
Damn it. Physical books is where it's at. Okay. Yeah, no. In the back of the Kindle version, it's just 10 pages and descriptions of each kind of
important person.
Yeah, basically any important person from Greek mythology, and kind of like a brief explanation. And I'm like, well, that would have been fucking nice if I knew that earlier. Because I should have read the title, like the, chapter 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But then I was like, how many pages is this? I'm like, 10. It's 10 pages.
Oh, just characters,
just
yeah.
Characters. I'm like, I mean, I have one page of like full notes on just character names, and I was like, okay, alright, this is gonna be great.
Around the end of it, I stopped like taking character names because I was like, okay, well,
yeah, the main two are
Achilles and Patroclus, and then there's other people bounce in and out.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why I was like, yeah, I actually didn't take any notes until the end of the book. I never do that, but it was just like, I don't know these names. Like, I just wanted to finish it and then kind of like, okay, whose name do I need to remember? And that's how I did my notes on this one, because I was like, by the time I got to halfway down this page, I was like, I don't know about this. I was like,
well, chapter 2 throws a lot of names at you all at once.
All at once.
And I was like, oh shit, I need to brush up on Iliad.
Yeah, no. And I did listen to some of it on audiobook kind of thing. So I kind of got some of the names. I'm still going to butcher them, so apologize in advance. If I look to Rachel and be like, what's the name? What's that again? That's totally the only reason why. Yeah, it's a lot of names.
So we start out with
Yeah.
a little bit of Patroclus's background, and
Yes.
you don't get Patroclus's name until chapter 2.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know this. And then when they start saying it, I was like, Peter. His name's Peter in my head. That's how I had to do it. I was like, yeah, Peter. We're just going with Peter. So if I someone say Peter, that's why.
Okay.
I had to put it Achilles. I got that. I got you. And then I actually know how to say Agamemnon.
Agamemnon.
Yes. I got really good at saying that until I had to say them, So, anyways, yeah, sorry.
Okay. So it starts out where he's a child and he's the prince of this land. His father is named...
I have it written down.
Menelaus.
Yes.
Menelaus is his father.
Yeah. Gosh. It's a lot of names. Yep.
So they, like, just a little bit of background. He sees Achilles do a foot race, and he wins, obviously, because Achilles is the best of the best.
Yes.
And then it goes to them going to Tyndareus's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Sounds about right.
And this is where we get into the main players of the Iliad. So they threw around
what you need, I'll help my best.
they throw around the long names. Like you get Ajax, you get Philoctetes.
I'm sorry, just goddamn, dude. What is that?
Agamemnon, Menelaus, which I think is what I said his father was named, but Menelaus is
King
Agamemnon's.
Menatida? Yeah, this is his father, but I don't know what he's the king of.
Menatius, I think.
He's not important either. It's okay.
He goes away after like the third chapter.
Yeah, as I say, third or fourth chapter.
And you get introduced to Helen, Clytemnestra. You get introduced to Polydeuces. You get introduced to why we don't know. Ajax, Odysseus.
They just throw out a lot of characters, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Especially when, so obviously it goes back to Patroclus's background, and his father just doesn't really like him. He is like too mediocre, and his father's disappointments, and it kind of goes into that. And then when they travel to meet Helen,
yes,
because his dad's like, yo, marry this bitch. And she has like a room full of suitors that are not 9 years old.
No.
And so that's when they start introducing a ton of people.
Yeah.
And
so out of these people, you need to know Menelaus, Agamemnon, Odysseus. Those are basically, Ajax comes into play. Philoctetes is Phil in Hercules movie, but he is not a satyr.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay.
Because he trains Hercules, which that's not how they pronounced it in the book, but whatever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a little confusing too of it.
Heracles is what they pronounced it in the book, and then as Americans, Hercules is what we know him as.
I mean, we can say that. Anyways.
Odysseus is what the Odyssey is based on. He, after the Iliad, he goes on his ship, and he gets lost. And this is about basically him finding his way back to his wife. After the Trojan War, yes.
That they're already gone for like
10 years, yeah.
I feel bad for that man. Okay, anyways. That's the second
side point.
Yes. So
go and there's going to be a suitor for Helen.
Yeah.
And how they decide this in here is Odysseus says, hey, let Helen choose. And she chooses Menelaus. Okay?
That was just... Is that how it is in the Greek mythology?
So, Tyndareus actually chooses Menelaus.
Okay.
In this. And I wanted to see, after chapter 2, like, how it actually went down as far as mythology.
I was about to say, I felt like, just based on, like, straight minimal knowledge on Greek mythology, I felt like this book wasn't as mythical as Greek mythology seems to be.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't talk about Achilles and his, like, awesome power. He's just the best fighter. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. But
you also don't get that Theseus, I think is how you say her name.
Theseus, yeah, his mom.
His mom dips him in the river, and the only part that didn't get dipped in the river is his ankle.
Right.
But he doesn't die in this one from an ankle wound.
Yes, that's why I was like, that part was missing, so I felt like, honestly, I might get a lot of hate for this, but I felt like this book was just a fan fiction based on Greek mythology.
Well, it's a retelling.
Right. Yes, but it didn't have, like, yes, it had some of the people, some of the gods, but I didn't feel like it was actually, I don't know. I just didn't get the mythology part, I guess.
So a lot of it, where you pick up with Achilles is in the Iliad. Okay. So a lot of it she just made up in her own story.
Okay.
So
where you get the characters were kind of the same, and you're supposed to know kind of their same backstory. That's why I was like, it's just straight up fan fiction. Yeah. That's kind of how that's where my brain went. I'm like, oh, so it's not really about Greek mythology. It's just the characters are like pulled out and thrown in a book.
Yeah, a lot of the events that happen in this, especially the war events, happen in the Iliad.
Gotcha. Okay.
The death of Achilles is not the same, obviously.
Yes. Spoilers. Come on now.
The burial, I don't think, is the same.
Okay.
Because, obviously, they're not lovers in Greek mythology. Spoiler, Patroclus and Achilles are lovers in this book.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
Yes, they are.
So, you don't get that arc. You don't get their arc.
I gotcha.
Their love story. Also, you get more about Helen and Paris and Hector.
Okay.
And whoever the king of Troy is. I didn't write his name down.
No, he's not important. I mean, he was, but he's not to the story part itself. Sorry, I know we're off topic.
On topic, off topic.
Oh, yeah. This one, yeah. So, getting back to the book. So, obviously, his father takes Patroclus.
You can also call him Patrocles, because some people call him Patrocles if you want to.
Okay, yeah. I can barely get the one straight. Okay, let's be real. So when they're going to meet Helen, and then obviously they like decide, and so they're like, well, how's it fair if she decides what's going to hold everyone accountable? And then that's when
and not take the bitch.
Yeah, not to kidnap her, because Helen is the most beautiful woman in the world, and you don't even see her technically. You see just like a veil, kind of like hide her face. So every man that is like going to be her suitor has to
they have to swear an oath.
Swear, yeah. Or I was like, sign an oath? No. Yeah.
They kill a goat and they swear an oath.
Yeah. So basically saying, in her time of need, they might come to her, kind of. Which I was like, what?
And they won't kill Menelaus because he is her suitor.
No one cares. No one's kidding. Yeah. I felt like that was just such an odd, like, that's how it happened. I'm like, okay. Okay. So that's when they kind of, at least Patroclus goes back home with his father.
Yes. And you don't get any of, like, Paris coming and kidnapping Helen. And you don't get why Paris thinks that Helen is his.
Okay, yeah.
You get that whole part skipped.
Yes, yeah, you don't get anything. Because the book is told from Patroclus's point of view throughout the entire book.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, I think, yeah. So, they kind of go back home, and this is kind of where the story actually starts. I say not start, but picks up, where Patroclus actually accidentally kills one of the noblemen. Even though he's a prince, no one treats him like a prince because his dad looks frowned upon him. So everyone's just like, oh, yeah, we're gonna take his fuck you, man. Like, if he treats his own son that way, we can treat, mentality bullshit.
Yeah.
So to appease the nobleman, because it was their, like, firstborn son, I think.
Yeah.
And they're the only ones that can take the name. Is that how that works?
I think so.
Okay. So instead of, he just exiles him. He's like, it's fine, go away. I don't care anymore.
He gets sent to Peleus, which is Achilles' father. That's important, but not important. He gets sent to Peleus, and he's going to be, like, he's going to learn how to fight. He's going to be one of Peleus's honor guards.
Yeah.
Kind of. Men, I guess.
Yeah, like, that's where all the exiles go, I guess. Yeah. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's, and they go to, Pelia? Is that how you say the country, or the...
I think so.
Okay. So, yeah, he sends him to Pythia, and then he is really reluctant to be friends with Achilles.
Well, I think Achilles just kind of, like, pops in, and then he's, like, does his Achilles thing, and then he pops back out, and then...
Yeah, because he eats, like, with all the other boys or men that are there, so you just... Yeah, I don't know what he does. He just does whatever, and then comes back. And I don't really, I don't remember what, finally... Do you remember what the turning point is?
Achilles just kind of sits down, and he's just like...
sits down and
just makes friends with him. Mm-hmm. They lock eyes, and then, they're in it to win it.
Yeah. I was like... Yeah, pretty much. They're, sitting, and, I just imagine, this huge log picnic, and they're just, eating, and he just sits next to him, and, yeah, they just lock eyes. And...
Yeah.
Instant. No, I'm just kidding. So then they, really... I think that's when he, Patroclus, just kind of, yeah, I'm here. I'm with it.
Yeah.
So Achilles kind of makes him his,
his sworn brother.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
His...
loyal to only him kind of thing.
Yeah. Companion.
Yes, companion. That's, I think that's how they word him.
Yes.
Which I'm not really sure what the companions do besides obviously be there with him, and he's never taken one before.
Yes.
That's said.
They're sworn, protectors.
Yeah.
So, if anything is to happen to Achilles, Patroclus is to go and, defend his honor. If that makes sense. That's basically what Patroclus is.
But he's a shit fighter.
Yeah.
That's what Okay, yeah. So, they developed a sort of bond, and obviously nothing sexual happens yet, but they're really close. He starts sleeping in the same room because he's always with him, going other places, and then I think it was right before he gets sent away, right?
So yeah,
there's not a lot that happens.
So. They go to Achilles' classes. They kind of train. Achilles is going,
tutors.
Every once in a while to see his mom, Thetis.
Which she's a
sea nymph.
Sea nymph.
Who...
Goddess person.
Peleus kidnapped and raped, and then she had to stay with him for a year. So, yeah. That's
usually about, yeah. But he they're married. That's his...
Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's not allowed to take another wife or whatever.
She, like, after that year, she, like, ran back to where she came from, and she is not going near him ever again.
Yeah, blame her. 100%. But yes, Achilles is, like, a product of that. So, I mean, that's kind of, I wouldn't say normal in that time period, but that's kind of normal practice. Normal. Yeah, sworn in blood oaths. Yeah.
And then
that's when they go to the Mount Pelion.
Yes.
Really.
Well, they kiss for the first time on the beach, and then Theseus sees them, and she's like, stay away from Achilles.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
Yeah, she does not approve of no.
Because she knows prophecy is why she doesn't approve of Patroclus.
Okay.
So she knows, one, that Achilles is going to die, which we haven't got to at this point in the novel.
Yeah.
Two, that if Hector dies, Achilles is going to die. Right after. And that Patroclus is in that prophecy as well. We'll mention that later.
I gotcha. I guess I didn't realize that Patroclus was in the prophecy.
Yes.
I only, like, after they kiss on the beach, and she's just like, no, I hate you, you're not good enough for my son. I'm like, damn, like, but I knew about the prophecy, like, I don't think it talks about it until they're, like, halfway through, right? Like,
until they're, like, with Charon.
Yeah, Charon, yeah.
The centaur.
Yeah. Which is where we're going to. Because he's on Mount Pelion.
Yeah.
Pelion? Yeah. I said it right. Okay. So yeah. So she kind of mentioned Chiron the centaur, and he's supposed to, like, train.
Yes. So he trains Patroclus in medicine. Well, he trains both of them in medicine, really. Mm-hmm. And then, like, just other different arts. He was going to teach him in fighting, but Achilles is better than him.
Yeah, he's like, I have nothing to teach you.
Yeah.
And at this point, Achilles has not trained with anyone. Like, he's too good of a fighter. He's not allowed to train with anyone. And then so I think he lets Patroclus see him, and then Chiron as well.
Yes.
And that's like the only two that have seen him
fight.
Yeah. Until obviously the war. So yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't have anything else to teach you. Sorry, man.
And this is where they grow up. I think they're there for like 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then,
longer than any other hero.
And this is where they also get together for the first time. Yeah. And, Achilles says, I want to be a happy hero because all the heroes I know about are not happy.
Yeah. Something's
bad has happened to all of them, which it's called Greek tragedy for a reason.
Yes. Yeah.
So he wants to keep Patroclus with him at all times. He wants to be together with Patroclus if they can.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. So, yeah. Achilles' mom can't see them on the mountain for some reason.
Because it's not close to the sea.
Okay, it's not close to the sea. I didn't know why, but it was just like, yeah, she can't see us here. I'm like, okay. She eventually comes calling to him. And, of course, she only likes her son. So she like, takes her son and they kind of go off somewhere for, like, the whole day, really. And then he comes back. And it's like every time he goes to visit his mother, Patrice is like, hey, so, how's your mom? Still hates you.
Always and forever.
It's nice that he asks, I guess. Yeah, during the time on the mountain, they become the lovers, and, like you said, time is not very known in the book, so, like...
Well, I tried to take in my notes, like, what age they were at certain chapters.
Yeah, but it doesn't say in some of them. So, I think they're 14 or something when they go, or when they come back, or something like that.
I think they're 14 when they go, and then 16 when... the wars, they come calling for him for war.
So they're 2 years. So they're on the mountain 2 years training. Chiron kind of gives them medicine training. So that's where I think both of them pick it up, but I think Patroclus has like a more of an art form for it.
Yeah.
So his father sends a messenger up to the mountain, and he's like, I need you to come home. And Achilles doesn't want to go because I think his mom's kind of like hinted that you don't want to leave the mountain kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they kind of have to. And that's when they find out about the outside world. That Helen got kidnapped.
Yay!
Helen, come on now.
Technically, it wasn't her fault, but she could have went back to him when the war was going to start. So that is her fault.
Yeah. So Achilles has no shoe in the race. He wasn't there. He didn't claim the oath or anything like that. They want him to fight because he's such a great fighter.
Yes.
And Patroclus obviously was there.
He did swear the oath.
Swear the oath, yes.
I think his father technically swore the oath, but his father swore the oath for him.
Yeah. And there was some talk where Achilles is like, well, you don't have to go because you're exiled, so you're technically not honored to that oath anymore, yada yada.
Yeah.
But Achilles did say, if you do have to go, I will follow because
they're lovers.
They love each other, obviously.
Yes.
Which I thought was really cool, or really nice. Not really cool, really, really sweet, but at the same time, like, his honor is kind of on the line, too, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's kind of how I felt, like, if you don't go, you're kind of a pussy, you know?
So, well, if he doesn't go, and this comes out later, that his power as, like, half god, he's half god, half man.
Yes.
His power as a god will dwindle, so he won't have the ability to fight like he can fight.
Oh, okay.
That's mainly his main skill, is he's a good fighter.
Yeah. And he's gold, tan, everywhere.
He's the golden boy.
You read that a lot. He's very tan and, yeah, anyways. So, yeah, we talked about that. So then this is kind of where we find out the prophecy itself.
Yes.
And that's why Achilles doesn't really want to go. And
it's also why Theseus doesn't want him to go as well. Because she wants him to become a full god, for one. And also, she knows that he's going to die.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not really sure. Do you think, sidestep here, do you think Patroclus would have had to go to war if Achilles didn't go?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. I was just curious because I was like, I don't know, is that in play or, like, you know what I mean? Because it's like they bring that up and then they're like, well, here we are. And I'm like, I guess curiosity. I'm like, did he have to go? Yeah. Or is it just Achilles who's like, let's go? Sorry. Go on.
So also later in the book, Odysseus and Dionysus come and kind of like,
oh yeah,
you gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta come with us. So I kind of wrote down some of the prophecy. I don't think it's the same thing or like all of it, but I just wrote there's a prophecy that says the war against Troy is where Achilles will make his name famous and become godlike, but he will also die after the Trojan if Hector dies.
Yes.
Okay. So there's something else added to that caveat. Okay.
Well, there's more to it, but there's also prophecy and prophecy and prophecy.
Okay.
Which we'll get to.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So Theseus kind of talks Achilles into going into hiding, and so they kind of leave, and Patroclus is just kind of like left out in the wind because obviously Theseus doesn't fucking want him anyways. Yes. But they kind of run off because it's found out later that she promised Achilles that she would tell Patroclus where they went.
Yes. She did.
Spoiler alert. Liar! Yes, anyways, moving on. We're getting there. So they go to the island of
he goes to
Cycros? Cycros with King
Lycomedes.
Like, Rachel, I need this word translated. Okay, yes. Which he is the king, but it's found out that his daughter is actually like taking care of all the day-to-day stuff because he's kind of like sick and old and frail kind of thing. And her name is Demia?
Demia. I honestly, she's not important after this little section.
We're gonna call her. We're just gonna call her Dee Dee. Because it kind of looks Dee Dee and then Mia. Anyways, yes. So,
she has these dancing women. They're famous throughout the world. It's Greek.
They're really great dancers.
So she goes to show them off to Patroclus, and one of them happens to be Achilles.
Which I found hilarious because as soon as Patroclus saw him, he's like, Achilles! I was just like, But it's like a year before Patroclus finds them because he didn't know where they were at, and then I think Achilles' father kind of tells him, and then he goes off, and it takes him like a whole year to get here, or like process between there and whatever, because he was kind of like, he left me, kind of like, which I kind of would be too. That'd be shitty. So it's like a year after they are back from the mountain until they meet again, technically. I just want to bring that up just because I felt like it was kind of important-ish. So yeah, then
Achilles...
He's just dressing like a woman.
Is dressing like a woman.
To not go to war.
Yeah. So, Theseus, that could be pronounced wrong, but that's how I'm going.
Sounds good to me.
That's how I'm going to say your name.
Achilles' mother.
Like, basically hid him here, and then she made him marry the...
Dee
Dee. I'm going to figure out how to say her name. Just a second. And...
Yeah, they
discovered
that Achilles, like, kind of disguised himself and marries her in secret. Even her dad didn't know. And then Theus convinces Achilles to have sex with her to get her impregnated.
Yep.
And she's like, the only way I'll do this, or I think Achilles like, the only way I'm gonna do this if you let Patroclus know where the fuck I am.
Yes. Demia.
Yeah, see? Dee.
Is how you say your name.
Sorry, I'm terrible with names. But yeah, so when Patroclus shows up, he's like, oh yeah, and he's like, your mom didn't tell me shit, bro.
Yeah.
So he feels like kind of betrayed from his mom.
I mean, Achilles basically got a girl pregnant, and then Patroclus is supposed to be okay with this.
Yeah.
Granted, they're technically in a same-sex relationship that nobody knows about.
Yeah. So they're not so he can't technically be mad, and he understands that, like, this is part of life, and then so, of course, Achilles is like, I only thought of you. I love you. And he's like, okay, all right, I'm good with it, whatever.
Yeah.
Can't change the past. Kind of mentality, really. So that's when Odysseus and
Diomedes.
God. They arrive and, they discover Achilles dressing up like a woman.
Yes.
Which is funny because they let him go through the charade of, like, dancing for, you know what I mean? And they're all like, oh, you did such a great job. Here's a pile of treasure. Pick what you want. And then they, like, sound like, oh my god, shit's happening, alarm. And he's just like, I got this.
He got this mirror.
And then he still dresses as a woman, and they're like, oh, hey, Achilles. And then he's like, oh, hi. And they're all just like, cool, like, you know, like,
yeah.
bro.
Well, this part is basically in the myths. So Odysseus goes, they bring treasure to all these women, and he thinks that Achilles is in with them.
Okay.
So he goes, okay, here's this treasure that you all can have, and it has
just what you want, yeah.
like swords and stuff in it, but also has a bunch of girly stuff like perfume and
which he does pick up because he likes perfume because he's a prince.
So in the original myth, instead of going for the girl items. He picks up the sword automatically, and then just he's like, "Gotcha, bitch."
That's kind of pretty spot on. Okay, yeah. He just kind of piddle farts around, and he's like picking up the jewels, and then the sound of the alarm, he's like, pick up the sword, like, I got this, bitch. And they're like, it was a trick. Yeah. They're just like, God damn, dude. And they're like, so yeah, then they basically, I don't think they really do a lot of convincing. They're just like, come to Troy. Yeah. And he's like, all right.
Well, they said, come to Troy or we're going to tell everybody that you dressed as a woman. Which
I don't understand. Like, okay, cool, do it. I would have no shame. But I think I don't know if they want to drag, I don't think they drag, like, they're not gonna take Patrice.
Well, Patroclus, they know, has sworn that oath. So there's like, okay, well, you have to come too. Because if not, you're going to be an oath breaker.
I mean, he's already exiled. How much lower can he go?
Yeah. But he was going to go anyways. If Achilles going, he's going.
Yeah. So they go.
And then they stop at a couple different places.
Yeah, I was going to say they I think, but is that where it takes them like a whole month to get out because of the winds? There's no wind.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so they meet to wherever everyone else is, and they're going to take off, because obviously they have tons of... First of all, why did they wait a fucking whole year to go? Is my question. Like, anyways, besides the point. So they're trying to go to Troy, and they can't sell out.
Because there's no wind. Apollo's like, nah.
Yeah, Apollo was just like, nah, bitches. Every turn I can stop you, I'm gonna. So it's like that for like a whole month or 2 or something like that. But they can't leave, and so then they finally leave. I don't know. It doesn't. There's no like time frames. So they kind of just time skip however long it takes them to get there.
Well, this is where Agamemnon has to kill his daughter to appease.
I thought that was later.
Artemis.
That makes more sense. Okay.
And
I didn't care about them, so.
I mean, it
was important.
In the whole book, this part is not that important, but it's the first time that Achilles has seen somebody die directly in front of him. Okay. So that's important. It causes conflict between him and Patroclus because he's like, oh, well, you're going to have to kill people. Okay. And Achilles is mad because Agamemnon kind of tricked them because he killed his own daughter. Yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to be kind of like a celebration. Yes. And then he just like, done. It's like, because no one knew that was going to happen. So yeah. I literally didn't read it. I don't really like Agamemnon. Are you supposed to? Is he a dick and everything anyways? Like, that's how I took it. He's kind of like a butthole. Well, he's just the leader of the army. So, and a lot of Greek myths, everybody's kind of an asshole. You're not really supposed to like anybody. Okay. I just thought he was kind of like sus. Yeah. Like, he was just like, I don't know. I just didn't
but also, I didn't have a good feeling about him.
Achilles is supposed to be very prideful.
Yes.
So, they go up against each other because of Achilles' pride and Agamemnon wanting to win the war and get Helen back.
Yeah. Agamemnon is also the brother to
Menelaus,
who is Helen's husband.
Yes.
Sorry, I felt like I needed to mention that offhandedly, Yeah, I mean, Achilles is just, from the book standpoint, I felt like Achilles was like, yeah, I'm good, I'm better than everyone, but I don't see it as he's boasting. It's more of just like, it's a fact. He's like, I'm a better fighter than you guys. Period. Yeah. So, I think that's kind of what pisses a lot of people off, too. So.
Well, I think in this book, it gave Achilles a lot more grace than in the Iliad, where he's kind of
more like, I'm tough shit, fuck you guys. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't get that from the book. I just felt like he was just like, sometimes I felt like he was kind of didn't understand a lot because he's not had to struggle. Yeah. Like, he's just like, why didn't you just do this? And I don't fucking know, man. Shut up. Which I thought was kind of funny.
Yes.
So obviously they kind of go to war. And then Achilles is like fucking amazing, like as a fighter. And
so they do raids at first.
Yeah.
And then this is where you get Bracerius, which is
Brees. Oh, okay.
The girl. From the Trojan village.
Breezies is how I thought it said. That was, I was like, who the fuck you talking about? Like, yeah, but, okay, yeah. We're on the same page again, but I got it.
And also, Patroclus is still struggling with the fact that Achilles is killing people.
Yeah.
And they haven't fully gone into, like, structured war battles at this point.
No. They're just doing raids on the surrounding kind of smaller, I don't want to say cities, but like villages. I like how we both were like, yeah, we got the word for that. So Achilles takes Briseis or however you want to say her name, as kind of like a prize.
Yes.
And that's like a year into
the war. Yeah.
Yeah, because they are with her for like 9 years. They just, and it's Patroclus that kind of is like, Achilles, get her. Because Agamemnon is known for his like violent lust, raping.
Yeah, it's raping and pillaging.
Yes.
This is war.
Yes. So Patroclus is like, I don't know, I guess he's something in her as well, and he's like tries to save.
She's the first one too that shows up, and she's like, because after this, Patroclus tries to convince Achilles to continue to take girls, and that's where he gets the reputation of being like very ferocious and like,
yeah,
like he has an appetite for the girls, which in this book he does not.
He does not. He's just like, after the one incident where he, had a child, and he was just like, it was okay. Because obviously they talk a lot, so he was like, oh, I guess we're about to mention that also, but anyways, like, does it matter? I mean,
what?
That Patroclus actually slept with his wife. Like, she's just like so distraught because she like is being sent away by her dad, and she's just like, what makes you so, like, why, and she's like, I gotta see what all this is about, and Patroclus is like, I don't want this, but like, I feel bad for you. And so like, he kind of has, relations, and she's just like, you really don't like me, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, she's just like, oh, okay. So like, they talked about, I don't think that was ever mentioned that he slept with his, wife.
Yeah.
But like, they talked, and he was just like, I liked you more, kind of thing, and it was just like weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they, Briseis kind of, and Patroclus, because Patroclus doesn't go fight because you don't want that.
Well, at this point, it's just the
it's
kings
just,
and princes.
Yeah, they kind of just like going out and coming and doing somewhat of a battle structure-ish.
Yep.
And they kind of split off the treasures of each thing, and so he tries to protect as many women as he can. So then after that, 4 years pass. That's where the major, another major conflict happens, where the Agamemnon kind of faces an uprising from the people. They're like, we were only saying, a year of our service. It's turning into 4. Jerk on you. So Achilles is like, hey, chill out. And he kind of smooths it over.
Yeah.
And then another 5 years, right? There's something, obviously they were, fighting.
Yeah, there's battles.
Patroclus kind of gets into more of the medicine hut, and helps, and he's known for, taking care of wounds, and I'm trying to think of how they worded it, where he's really gentle-handed.
Well, he's basically the doctor of the camp.
Yeah. So he gets to know a lot of people that way, and a lot of people seem to see him and trust him, and so he builds this rapport with everyone when Achilles is out killing people.
Yeah.
I did like it that Achilles did say, if he was slaughtering a whole family, he would leave one of their bloodline alive so that they would live. Their line would live on.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, it's not something they had to do. You know what I mean? Other people would be fuck you, kill everyone. So I think I like that. I just wanted to, offhand mention that, because I think it was one time they talked about it, but I was man, that talks about his character, where he, he doesn't really want to kill people, or he really doesn't want to be in this war, but,
yeah.
Kind of thing.
So 9 years into this battle, they've been fighting it out.
9 years into
9
this 1 year war.
And Agamemnon takes Chryseis,
Mm-hmm.
which is a preacher's daughter. Priest's daughter.
Daughter of a priest.
Yeah. And her father comes to the village and gives a ransom, brings a ransom. He brings all this gold and treasure and all this. And Agamemnon says, no, I'm not giving her back.
Yeah.
And that pisses Achilles off, and the gods.
Yeah.
As well. And
because he felt like it was a better solution than to anger a priest of the gods.
Which is Apollo's priest, I think.
Yes.
And Agamemnon's like, I'm done fucking appeasing Apollo. I killed my daughter for this. She's mine.
Yeah.
And...
Which, I kind of get his point, but at the same time, it's one fucking person. Just leave her go.
Yeah. And this is where you find out that there's another prophecy that the best of Achilles' people is going to die. And that's not Achilles, because it's going to happen before Hector.
Okay.
Which will lead into our final sad 80%.
20%, you mean?
Yes.
So yeah. So obviously Agamemnon's like, nah, bitch, this is mine. She's mine. And so Apollo is pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it is confirmed that he basically was like, plague.
Yes.
Here's the plague, go. That kills, I want to say not a lot, but it is significant.
Well, it's a plague, so...
Yeah, I mean, luckily none of the two main characters get it, which is what we really care about, right?
And Briseis doesn't get it, by the way. She's still around. She's important.
Yes. So Achilles tries to tell people, hey, the reason for the plague is Agamemnon didn't give up the fucking priestess daughter, and the gods are angry about the slight. And
this is when Achilles goes, I'm not gonna fight, and then Agamemnon goes, okay, well, I'm taking Briseis.
Like he's not satisfied with the one girl, you know. But yes, and so Achilles doesn't fight him, which he kind of has a backup plan. He's like, okay, take her. That's fine. But he's just like seething underneath. He's like, I ain't fine, fuck you, bitch. Like, so kind of this is like the first point where I feel like Patroclus kind of betrays Achilles.
Yeah.
Even though I don't feel like it's not like betraying, like I'm gonna stab you in the back. But he obviously 9 years with Briseis, and he's like, you're not even gonna fight for her? She's our friend. And this is what I don't really like Achilles in this part, but it's fine. So Patroclus kind of walks through the camp, and everyone's just like, oh, hey, it's him, you know? Hey, buddy. So he actually just, like, struts into Agamemnon's camp, or tent, and Agamemnon's like,
what are you doing
Wait,
here?
What do you want, man? And so he just, like, cuts his wrist, and he's like, I'm here to tell the truth. And he's just like, oh, okay, all right, tell your truth. Like, because obviously he didn't have anything to trade or, I don't know. I assume that's why he did it. Yeah, he didn't have anything else besides his word and his blood oath kind of thing. And so he's just like, hey, you know, if you rape her, Briseis, like, Achilles has perfect reasoning to just fucking kill you. Do you want that?
And the men are going to turn on you because it's like, in their eyes, Briseis is Achilles' woman.
Yes, because it's his honor. He chose that from battle. That was his prize. And to defile his prize, which I thought was a great word altogether, because it just encapsulates everything, would mean defiling Achilles' honor, basically. And so he was just going to straight up like, kill you. Bye, dude. Done. I'm out of this fight, yo! And so that's what he says, and he's like, Patroclus says to Agamemnon, like, do what you want.
And then Agamemnon goes, okay, I'm not going to hurt her, and I'm going to treat her like a queen, and then it's going to show that Achilles is not doing what he needs to do.
Yes.
But also, in this mess of bullshit, Achilles goes to Theseus and says, hey, go to Zeus and tell him that until I'm in the battle, the Greeks will lose. They will lose.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Pretty much. I do kind of want to mention a little bit, because this happened, I think, close to right before this happens with the priestess daughter. So Briseis kind of is like, hey, Patroclus, like, you want a wife kind of thing? Yeah. And you don't really know why. You just think she's like trying to get out of, you know, after the war, what does she do kind of thing. And so she's like, hey, you know, you're gonna want sons or stuff, right? And he's like, huh, I didn't really think about this. Yeah. Like, so he's like, sorry, no. And she's like, okay, all right. I kind of liked you, but it's fine. Sorry, I just kind of wanted to mention that. So that's why, I don't think that's the main reason, but I think Patroclus feels like, I want her to be safe, because they've been together for like 9 years.
Yeah.
At least living in close proximity, even though that is her home that kind of got stolen from, and she's still living there. Like, that would be such a weird thing. Like, my home's like 2 feet that way, but you're like, you're my fucking slave. It's like, hey. Like, I feel like that'd be so awkward, and that kind of, anyway, sorry. Okay, so yes. So this is where, Achilles decides she's not gonna fight, and then the Greeks start losing the fucking war, and a lot of people are dying, and they all hate Achilles for this, instead of, I think he thought it would be the opposite.
But they thought that they would want, him back so they could win. Like,
Yeah.
they would see that he's the best of them all.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he is, and that does show through, but they're just mad that their friends are dying, really, at this point. I mean...
And Patroclus is mad about this, too. He's like,
Yeah.
hey, you know these people. These are your people.
Yeah.
You need to help them. And even Agamemnon comes and goes, hey, I'll give you back Briseis if you come fight. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
No, yeah, he wants, like, an official apology kind
Yeah.
of thing. And they're both of them are very prideful. So he's like, no, well, and then Achilles is like, well, no. And this has to do with, I think, his mom saying, like, right, like, you cannot enter the war unless this happens, otherwise you won't be a god or something. Is that, or is that
I
not?
think so, yeah.
There's something to do with that. Theus is like, don't fight, in her creepy voice that I picture in my head. So...
And this also has the prophecy about Patroclus. That...
Yeah, the next part I have is basically...
Patroclus goes to war, dressed as Achilles, because
Yeah.
everybody is going to turn on Achilles. And Patroclus wants to uphold his honor.
Yes, even though Achilles doesn't see it. He doesn't see that part of it.
Yes.
He just... this is the part where I think he's dumb a little bit. Like, you need to not listen to your mom, because she's not in it to win it. Like a set things are supposed to happen, and I don't know. But yes, so Patroclus kind of takes Achilles' armor and goes into battle, and Achilles is like,
Don't fight.
okay, yeah, you can do this. I'm not going, but you can do whatever you want with that. You just don't fight. It doesn't work out that way.
No.
But
So he's on a
kind of like a
chariot.
Horse, yeah.
And they crash, and then Patroclus in this chariot, Patroclus has also been throwing spears.
Yeah, throwing spears, because everyone sees him thinking it's Achilles, and like, yeah! And then, of course, Trojans? What
Trojans.
Is it just Trojan?
Yes,
Okay.
Trojans.
Trojans are like, oh shit, he's back! So they're like, oh no! And that's where, what's his name?
He slays one of the people, and then Hector kills him.
Yes.
Hector kills Patroclus, which was prophesized in that the best of Achilles' people were going to die. And they're called, like, the mermens. They're not the mermens. They're, but it's something like that.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Yeah. I don't know the name, but yes. I just wanted to point out that Patroclus kills Shardino. Shardino? I just look at Sharptino. That's how I look at it, but there's no H in there. But yes, I think he gets injured by him, and then soon after, Hector kind of deals the final blow.
Yes.
And then
Achilles is waiting on Patroclus to come back, and Patroclus is just dead.
yeah.
And the Greeks take his body back to their camp.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Achilles sees that he's dead, and he wants to kill Hector.
Oh yeah, he's like pissed.
And we get all this from Patroclus's point of view. Like, you don't get any of Achilles' point of view in this.
No.
So, and then...
Patroclus is ghost at this point now.
Yes. And his body is just in a tent for a little bit.
It's disturbingly longer than it should be. Because Achilles kind of, like, sleeps beside him. It's weird. No, thank you. I don't care how much I love you. No. But yes. So this is where Achilles kind of goes mad with grief, and he's like, Hector is dead. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him! Like, that's, like, his whole mindset.
Yes. And then the next day he goes after Hector. He kills Hector. The gods are still mad about shit.
Yeah. Mostly Apollo. I don't know why I'm not sure why he cares. I'm assuming there's a reason, in Greek mythology?
A bunch of shit's happening. The gods like to meddle.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Um,
So that's when he kills Hector, and Achilles kind of drags Hector's body around
for like
removed.
3
It's been
days.
going on for 5 or 6 years
and
now.
just
Well, I received a settlement, an advance
Hello?
payment on that of $5,000.
what the heck?
Because I was going to see my granddaughter
I have no idea what it's
my
playing, so sorry. Okay, moving on. I like to watch Judge Judy in my spare time.
That's fine.
I have no idea why I started playing, but whatever. Could be my watch. Here we go. So yeah, Hector's, I think it's his dad.
Yes.
Yeah, his dad comes and tries to appease Achilles, and he's like, "Can I have my son back?" Which is just
sad. Yeah.
yeah. And Achilles is like, "Okay, but why would you come here? I could just kill you." And he's like, "Yeah, you could, but I want him. I want Hector to rest."
Yeah.
Because there's certain kind of rituals each different nation does, and so that's when I think he finally returns him.
So they can't be laid to rest. They don't go to the underworld until they're laid to rest in a proper grave.
Okay.
So there is.
I know some you have to burn them. Some I just didn't know specifically.
So they can't make it to the underworld, and the underworld is not hell.
Yes.
The underworld is where everybody goes when they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Hell is in the underworld, and so is heaven in our Christian religion.
Okay. Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Cool. This is when kind of Theus kind of tries to tell Achilles to kind of stop. Hey, you're pissing off the gods. You need to knock it off. And he's like, "No, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
He's still mad. I mean, I'm not sure why, but I'm not sure why they're still mad at him. Is it just because Hector died? I didn't really...
So, this is when she brings up his son, and the Trojan War's not going to end until
Yes.
Achilles' son comes.
Which his name is another weird one. Prius.
Yes.
Prius, yeah. And, it's found out that he, there's a prophecy stating that Troy will not fall. Troy will fall, what? I don't fucking know.
Troy won't fall until Prius
shows up. And that's when she kind of was like, "He's more of a man than you are." And the last thing Thea says to her son, while he's still alive, is, "I'm glad Petronius is dead." And I'm like, why would you fucking say that? First of all, he went turbo, "I'm gonna kill Hector." And she's like, "I'm just glad he's dead. He never, he deserved better." Why would you say that?
Yeah, this is after Achilles had burned Patroclus on the fire.
Yes.
And he said, "Once I'm dead, put my ashes and Patroclus' ashes together and bury us together."
Anyways, moving on. The war kind of continues, and Achilles starts killing some more people. I don't know if they're important. Are they important?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Not for this story.
Okay, not important. He killed some people that were really cool, or really great warriors, or whatever. And then this is where he died.
Paris kills him.
Yeah. Paris from inside
the wall. Paris is a coward in every aspect of every myth. Paris is a coward.
Damn.
I'm just saying.
I don't know, so that's good to know that he's a coward.
He steals Helena Troy, and he fucking lets Hector fight his battles. Hector dies. His brother dies, and he still is hiding behind the freaking wall.
Yeah. So this is what I found funny. Did you pick up when Paris shoots the arrow? And it's not to his Achilles tendon. I was pissed about that.
Yeah, it's through his chest.
Yeah, like, in his, like, rib, yeah. Did you pick up on the fact that Achilles heard the arrow? He turned towards the arrow so he would die. And I'm like...
Yeah, because he wanted to die is ultimately what it was.
Yeah, like, no, I get it. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was, like, not reading too much into that, because it's like, he's like, I heard... It's like, huh? And then he, like, dies.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't, like... I thought that, so I was like, maybe not. So this is kind of where Prius enters the war.
Yes.
And he's only 12. I just want that. Only 12 years old. Is he a really good fighter, too?
No, he decides that they're gonna hide inside of a fucking Trojan horse.
Oh, so that's where his idea comes from?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because it was not... The book doesn't go into that specifically. It's just like, yeah, he comes, war's over.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
That's how the war ends. All the Greeks hide in...
he's a coward, too. I'm just kidding.
Well, he's 12.
Yeah, he's 12, yes.
I forgive him, because he's 12, but he is an asshole.
Oh, yeah, he is kind of a dick. He doesn't, he's like, hell no, are you burying Patroclus with my father?
Well, he was buried with his father, but he didn't want Patroclus' name on the grave. So Patroclus is basically an unnamed soldier at this point in Achilles' grave, so he can't be laid to rest.
Gotcha. Is that why? Because I was like, I don't understand. Okay, that makes more sense. So this is all still from Patroclus' point of view. So this is what I hate about. So Pyrrhus rejects the idea of Patroclus' ashes being buried, and then that's when Brius is like, "Hey, like this is why they were lovers," and he's like, "No, fucking shut your mouth, bitch! Like no, because this is what's weird. Greek is more open to relationships like that, but why did they hide it? Is it still frowned upon because he's like a prince and like whatever? Okay,
it's because of history. Because
okay, that's why I was like, why are they shameful about it? When I'm like, come on, Greek was like. So what, you know what I mean? Like they were just very openly sexual about everything. So it's just like, what is it like? I don't know.
Because throughout history, you could be gay, but if you were outed as gay, it was frowned upon.
Okay.
So people, at least for England, and early America, a lot of people would say, "This is my friend," and they would live together as friends.
I gotcha. Okay. that was the disconnect for me, and I'm like, I was like, I know there's some sexual beings in there, so like I guess I just didn't understand. So okay. Sorry, getting back on track. I needed a history lesson, I guess. So yeah, Price is angry, and this is where Brius kind of tries to kill him, which obviously doesn't.
Well,
happen. Because she loved it. Come to find out that she kind of did really love
Patroclus,
Patroclus, even though obviously he was in love with Achilles. So she was just like, but don't you really want a son someday? And
yeah.
So I felt like that was really sad because I felt like she was just kind of just a bystander, like, and she was trying to stick up for him after his death, and so obviously, she tries to kill him. And obviously he's like, nah, evade.
Yeah.
And something about she runs into the ocean and like he kills her with a spear, but her body's not found.
Yes.
Okay. So it kind of leaves it open to
if she is in the underworld or not.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then obviously they win the war.
Yep.
And then Patroclus kind of, as I kind of consider this like years pass, just because of how he talks about people coming and visiting the grave of Achilles, and Theus kind of comes and goes kind of thing, and then he finally, like, she, like, lays her hand on the tomb, and he's like, no, don't fuck, no.
Yeah.
And then they kind of have like a conversation back and forth, where he obviously doesn't speak it, but she hears him kind of thing. And this is where
they can't be together because he's essentially a ghost,
right,
at this point, and Achilles is in the underworld because he has a proper grave,
right.
And he basically tells Theseus that, hey, this is what mine and Achilles' relationship was about. This is what Achilles meant to me, and this is what Achilles...
Yeah, I know he talked about kind of like stories of Achilles.
Yes.
And like his point of view of things.
And it also shows that what Patroclus meant to Achilles, and Theseus kind of gets it at that point. And she's like, okay. And then she puts Patroclus' name on the grave with Achilles.
So he can lay to rest.
Yeah.
And that's where the story ends.
And it's sad.
It is so sad. I straight up was like, I really liked that part of Theseus, because Achilles, or Patroclus did mention, like, oh, why aren't you with your other son, or, you know.
Yeah.
Not son, technically, but, you know, I get brother, I don't, what term.
Grandson.
Yeah, grandson. Like, whatever term, like, that's, you know, still came from Achilles. And that's when you find out that he's dead. He's already dead. And so that's why I'm like, well, I know this happened. He was 12. He stole
stole somebody's wife, pretty much.
Yeah, and kind of did the whole same thing Paris did, but whatever. But I don't know how old he was, but I feel like it has to be some time after, because he was still, like, just a teenager, so at least 5 years. But I was thinking more like 10, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because she's a goddess, so she doesn't technically age, and I think it actually finally did take her that long to fucking realize that he really did love her son. And so I really liked that part of it.
Yeah.
Where she's just like, yeah, I was wrong. kind of thing.
She should have known from the beginning.
Yeah.
But also, prophecies are involved, and she wanted the best for her son, and she wanted him to be a god.
I get that. Yeah. I just was like, I don't know, a little too late kind of thing. But that was a nice gesture that she did, because it mentions that she can't go to the underworld to see him, even though she's a goddess.
Well, she can't see under the ground because it's not the sea, and also nobody can go really into the underworld except for like Hades, Persephone, and then the dead.
Okay, I gotcha.
Persephone was kidnapped by Hades, and that's why she can go into the underworld.
There's a lot of kidnapping going on around here, okay? No. At least in Greek mythology itself. But yeah, that's the book.
Yeah. It's sad.
It is so sad. Yeah. So, did you have any other points you wanted to talk about before going into, like, our ratings?
I don't think so.
Anything Greek mythology-wise that you feel like you missed from the book?
No, it is better when you go into this book to have a little bit of knowledge on the Iliad. Not necessarily the whole story, because that kind of spoils this book.
Okay, I gotcha.
But just know some of the key players.
I gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Like, just from the background of, like, not really knowing anything besides the actual gods and knowing how they get into Troy, I was kind of glad not to read that part, because I'm like, I already know how that ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think I was kind of glad knowing at the end it was like, oh, I'm going to have to, like, read how they do it. But then you're like, the story's not about that.
No, it's about Achilles and Patroclus.
Yeah, it's just leading up to, obviously, Patroclus just doesn't fucking care about the war at that point. He really, he's dead. He don't give a shit about it.
I don't think he gave a shit about the war regardless.
No,
I think
he just gave a shit about Achilles.
Yeah.
it was really nice, like, little love story. So,
even though it was sad.
it was super sad. I was just like,
so now that going in, it's sad.
Yeah, it is, and I didn't even cry when any of them died. I cried at the end, where I like just like a little kind of like tear or two, and I'm like, she finally was like accepting of him.
Yeah, just
only took a couple fucking at least a decade.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so no on accepting your children. Just so you know.
Yes. I agree with that very much so. So do you want to go into your rating of the book?
So my rating was 3.5.
Okay.
3.5 just because you do need a little bit of background to get into it. And if you're not used to saying Greek names,
no, hell no.
Ancient Greek names, then it's a little hard to pick up on who is who.
Yes, I definitely had problems with that. That's why I kind of listened to the audiobook in the beginning, because I'm like, you're like, their names. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit. So that's why I listened to the main part up until the mountain, and then I read past that because I was like, okay, I can get the rest of these people's names. So that did kind of help me. And then my rating. I'm sorry, did I?
No, you're good.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know if I cut you off. I guess off of my own word here. I also gave it a 3.5. I really liked that. I felt like I really didn't need like a whole knowledge base, just because I don't know Greek mythology all that well. So I guess going in, I'm like, I don't know anything about Achilles. I don't know anything about Patroclus. So I guess it might not have been as impactful for me.
Yeah. Also, I feel like the point of entry is really hard, because you get to chapter 2 and you're like, oh my god, do I need to know all these people?
Yes, I was like stressing out a little bit. That's why I was like, okay. So I did my notes just a tad bit different this time around, because I still think I'm trying to figure out that part too anyways. But yeah, I was just like, I'm gonna have to go back. And so I just like flipped through, and I'm like, okay, well, here's this name, this is this name, this is who this is. And then I didn't realize the fucking glossary at the end, god damn it! It did help with my notes though, but I was just like, I could have used this in the beginning. It's fine, it's whatever. I was a little salty about it. But spice level,
it's a 1.
Yeah.
There's some scenes, but there's
nothing
overly explicit.
Yeah.
Unless you think gay sex is explicit, but then get over yourself.
Yeah, no. It didn't even go into... It was just like, oh, yep, lovers. And I think Kiss was about the only thing that was actually... I mean, he did talk about, like, his skin and stuff.
Well, they had that time in the cave on the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's the only, like...
Yeah, I was going to say, it was so...
Scene,
yeah. It wasn't... And it was just mostly, like, leading up to and then done kind of thing. Which is fine. It doesn't have to be very spicy, to be a good love story.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What was, rating 1? I mean, bell pepper.
Well, it's not a bell pepper, because there was some stuff in there, but it is a 1.
Yeah.
There's some open door. There's at least one open door scene.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess technically, yeah. But it didn't go into detail. So, like, if you really don't like sex scenes, then you'll be fine. If you just, boop, 1 page, you're done.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, that's it on that one.
So next week we will be reading Gideon the Ninth, which I am really excited about.
Me too.
This is our sci-fi pick.
Yes.
It's going to be sci-fi and fantasy, because she's a necromancer.
But I think from everything I've read, it's more sci-fi based. So take that what you will.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I really like sci-fi books. I lean towards more sci-fi anyways. So
see, I lean towards more fantasy, but this cover is just so fucking dope.
I know. I'm excited. I am very excited to read that. It's a little on the bigger side,
Yes.
Little chunky boy.
And I will say I started it today, and there is a list of characters in the front.
Oh, thank you.
So,
see, she's looking out for me.
And the character names are not easy to say. I'm just gonna let you know.
Why do you have to do my presents on every book? Okay, that's all I need.
We're gonna have to come up with nicknames for some of these characters. Is all I'm gonna say.
I did. Patroclus in my brain was Peter. Like 100%. I was like struggling to say his name. And I'm like, I know I'm not saying this right. I'm butchering that shit. It's fine. It's fine, guys. Sorry. If you want more better pronunciations, I'm sorry. I did my best.
Yeah.
And then if that's how it's gonna be with that one,
We might struggle on this one, but
it might just go to Dee Dee. I love it. That's what we're going with. Which is totally fine. A little bit. Okay. Anyways, I hope you guys check in with us next week.
yes.
Since we're going to go over that one, which I think is going to be really cool. I'm going to be disappointed if it's not. But everything I've seen, it's pretty good. And then I hope you liked our retelling of the Song of Achilles with butchered names. And Rachel's history lesson on Greek mythology.
I'm a nerd. What can I say?
No, it's totally fine. I was heavily relying on this for this one.
Yeah.
I was like, Rachel, I
knew this one was going to be a struggle for me because it's a lot of ancient Greek history. So
did you feel like it was, like, as you were reading it, did you feel like you struggled a little bit?
This one, not as bad because I feel like it also falls a little bit under the realm of fantasy because you have the Greek gods and...
I gotcha, yeah. Yeah, I didn't really struggle besides the names, really. So I was very happy about that because I'm like historic. Ooh.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It worked out. It was actually a pretty good book. I enjoyed it. So. All right. Okay. All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.